What's going on, everybody? Josh Pocock here, and in today's video, this is a really good one. I am going to show you exactly how you can set up your very own RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation framework, for your AI bots, for your AI knowledge base, whatever the case may be, using n8n and Supabase. Let's dive right into it. All right, guys, so quick background. If you're not familiar with what a RAG actually is, well, here's some different diagrams of them, but just to sum it up, why don't I just let Perplexity explain it? So Retrieval Augmented Generation RAG is an advanced AI framework designed to enhance the accuracy and reliability of responses generated by LLMs. It achieves this by integrating external knowledge sources into the generative process. Here's a detailed explanation of what a RAG is and how it works. So RAG is a technique that combines with the capabilities of traditional informational retrieval systems with generative LLMs. The primary goal is to optimize the output of the LLMs. Essentially, this is the three stages: retrieval phase, generation phase. A few benefits of it: enhanced accuracy, current information, improved trust, cost effective, which is actually, I actually almost thought that it would maybe be more expensive because you're paying for embedding and then the generation. But since it's being embedded, if you're embedding a text, it's actually going to be a lot less. Embedding costs are way less when you're using, for example, like OpenAI API. I'll show you the costs in just a second. You could also use open source models, but then yeah, once it's embedded, it's actually going to cost you a lot less. So anyways, applications of a RAG: chatbots, customer service, content generation. There's so many different ones, but this is kind of a brief summary of a RAG. If you're watching this, a lot of you probably already know what a RAG is, but you're gonna see in just a second. So I'm gonna lay some of the foundational information of what tools I'm gonna be using, and kind of what you should know and all this stuff at the start, and then in the next maybe minute or two, I'll be diving into actually starting how to set this up. First off, just so you guys know, I'm using Supabase. If you don't know Supabase, I'm hosting it on Coolify. I did a video a couple days ago showing you how to self-host on Coolify your Supabase. You can also use their cloud. So if you go to Supabase, where is Supabase? If you go to supabase.com, you can go here, you can sign up on their cloud, or you can start your own project. You can either host it on Coolify or host it however you want, right? So we're using Supabase. Technically, this same process, you could use really any vector database, as well as, yeah, you could really use any vector database. You could use Zeb, you could use different ones, right? We're going to be using Supabase, okay? Next is the embedding models. So if you don't know how RAGs work, basically, okay, so I'm not an expert, like a complete expert here. There's definitely people that can explain it a lot better. But essentially, say if I make a query to the LLM through whatever means, whatever, and we're doing this in n8n, but this applies to whether you're building an app or whatever the case may be. Then it's basically we want to take that query and we want to embed it. All right, now I'm not gonna do a deep dive in like embeddings and explaining how it all works and vectors and all this stuff and the different dimensions and stuff like that. But maybe in future videos, as I'm continuing to learn more about it, watching a lot of kind of more longer in-depth videos of people explaining these things. But it's very interesting how these actual LLMs work and neural nets and all this stuff. But essentially, all you really have to know is that it's being embedded, okay? So, and what that's going to look like, just to show you as an example, it's going to take, like, for example, a piece of content like this, where it's text, and it's going to, like, make it into, see this embedding thing? So each one of these is an embedding, and we'll get into more of that in a second. It will make a bit more sense if you're confused. But anyways, there's a couple different options for embedding models. For the sake of ease here, I just used OpenAI's embedding model, but And we're using the text embedding 3 small. All right, so page per dollars, performance on MTEB eval, which is over here, which we'll get into in just a second. Max input. I'll link this, their embeddings page down below in the description. And yeah, it will kind of give you the gist of their embeddings here. And then over here on HuggingFace leaderboard for the MTEB leaderboard. And I'm not going to go into depth of explaining this leaderboard and explaining like, I'm not going to go super in depth into embeddings and explaining all this right now. But the main thing is these are just the leaderboards of the top embeddings on HuggingFace, basically on their specific testing criteria. And there's different, tests here that you can see. There's different ones, right? And basically, yeah, this is just like they're currently like out of box. They're filtered by the overall score. So depending on your specific use case, like if you're building an app, if you're doing this, if you're doing retrieval, etc., these different scores, some of them may be better for your specific use case. We have the different embedding dimensions here, max tokens, etc. So I'm not going to go in depth into explaining which one to choose for your specific use case. If you really want to go in depth on that, there's definitely more videos. I'll maybe talk about this more in depth in future videos, but I'm just letting you guys know, like, because some like this whole rag thing, you can go down multiple different rabbit holes, and if you're new to this, you can go about learning more and more stuff about it. So I'm just kind of letting you guys know, like, I'm going to show you how to do it, but then if you want to learn more about it and go down these rabbit holes and really get a good understanding, I'm just kind of pointing you in those directions. But yeah, so that is, yeah, so you'll see the different models here. We have like Quen, Voyage, and yeah, I would talk to ChatGPT or talk to Perplexity or Claude and maybe ask it certain questions about this based on your specific use case if you really want to go down like that side of things. But for the sake of ease in this video, we're just going to be using, like I said, the OpenAI embedding. Okay, so now that we got the Supabase out of the way, we got the embeddings out of the way. Also too, just so you guys know, Supabase, the way it works is it's basically open source, and it has a bunch of different open source projects kind of under the hood. One of them, obviously, what it's built on is Postgres, and then PG Vector as an extension. So this is actually the GitHub of PG Vector. This is what we're going to be using to do the vector, to vectorize or put them into the text into a vector, the embeddings into the vector database within Supabase. So if you want to learn more about PG Vector, and you can check out the GitHub here. So I'll link that down below as well. Okay, but now let's actually get into building this thing out. So it really doesn't matter how you're getting the data, right? I could do something right here where I'm scraping a website, getting data. I could do really anything. For sake of ease, or just for what my use case is here, we're doing a webhook to start this trigger off. And it's getting, so the webhook is actually just over here in an Airtable base. When I basically switch a single select to the status of Supabase, it's going to send, you'll see here, well, okay, you can't, I'll test it in a second, but it's going to send that to the webhook, which is going to include the record ID. And then I'm doing a get record Airtable node, which is literally just getting the record ID. And then what I'm doing is I'm putting, okay, so what we're doing in this is we're putting a transcript, which is from the Airtable field. I'm just putting that into a set node, just because then when I go over to Supabase vector store, the operation mode is insert document and table name. This is my table name, query name. And let me just see here. Oh, it's because I think it's document data loader. Yeah, load all data input JSON. So we're loading the JSON. So yeah, the reason I put a set node here is because we're putting the set node and we're loading the JSON from the vector store. So just so how this kind of makes sense here. So if you're building it out, what you're going to do, you're just going to type Supabase. I'll show you what you do here. So Supabase vector store, and then insert document. So we need to insert this document. Now, like I said, you could put a Google Drive here. This could be like your company SOPs. This could be really anything, right? But yeah, like I said, I'm just using Airtable. You can go wild with whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. And then from that, you're adding an embedding. So the embedding, you have multiple different options. Like you could use HuggingFace, which are a lot of open source models. There's Mistral, there's OpenAI, which we're using. There's Ollama, more open source, Azure, a bunch, right? So for us, we're just going to be using OpenAI, and you have 3 options here. We are using text embedding small. Reason I'm using small is because Ada is the older one. Large is like, here, I'll show you the pricing. Let me show you the pricing. Does it show it here? I think it should show it here. OpenAI embedding pricing. Okay. As that loads, I'll just go back here. Okay. The reason I'm using this is because it's the second cheapest, and like it's substantially cheaper than the large model. It's like this one is, I believe, 13 cents per 1,000 tokens, and this one is 2 cents per 1,000 tokens. This model is highly efficient and provides a significant upgrade over its predecessor at Ada. So Ada is, Ada I think is even more expensive, it seems. But anyways, yeah, so small seems to be the best, just for what I was looking for, and just for ease of use. Now I didn't want to, look into right now, at least, different models over here. But yeah, you can do it with the HuggingFace, and I'll make videos in future showing you how to do it with the HuggingFace. It's very simple though. You just do HuggingFace, and then you would put the model name right here, which you would get, like if I go here to this model right here, Salesforce SFR embedding, right? And that's what you would put. Okay, but yeah, I'll do more videos in the future about that. Okay, well, from that point, once you have the embedding model, which for us, like I said, is OpenAI, and we're using small, then what we're going to do is the document. So document loaders, you have a couple options. You have GitHub document loader, which you would just need to add your credentials for. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be using the default data loader, and you still have a few options. You can use JSON binary, and I believe, let's see, JSON. So you can use binary, CSV, docs, EPUB, JSON, PDF, text, and then JSON, load specific. I swear there was some other stuff here. Let me just see. Well, anyways, we're loading JSON, so that's what we're doing. And then once you do that, you're going to add a text splitter right here, or a token splitter. And just so you know, what we do here is we go boom, and the text splitters, there's character text splitters, recursive character text splitters. We're using a token splitter, so split into chunks by tokens. We just add that back. And just so you can see, our chunk size is 512 and our chunk overlap is 100. Okay. From that point on, once this goes, this is going to insert the vector, the document or the text into the Supabase as a vector. Now, before you actually do that, we're going to actually have to build out the table in Supabase. So I'll show you that in just a second. And just so you know, after as well, this right here, I use a Supabase update row just because you'll see here. So this is update row. This is in the table name here. Build manually. And just so you guys know how to do something like this, I'm going select conditions, content, and then I'm bringing over the content JSON variable from this Supabase vector output. That's basically going to match it up. And then I'm just adding like the video title, the other stuff from my Airtable, just so if I look in, like if you see here, if I look in the Supabase table, I have other information here too, like publish date, all this other stuff, description. Not that you don't even need that, but I just wanted it there just because it looks nicer. It's easier for me, like if I'm looking at it, to see what is what, etc. So, okay, now that we're done, well, we did a bit of the n8n stuff. I'm just going to show you what you need to do in Supabase. So let's just pretend I have a new table. Well, let's not just pretend. I'm going to create a new table right here. So you can do this either like in the command line, in the SQL editor. We're just going to do it in the visual builder. I'll do this here to keep it simple for you guys. So let's just go like I don't know, Instagram, whatever. That's the name of our table. So you can either enable row level security, which, yeah, I mean, it's recommended. So I just keep it on. In which case though, we're also going to need to add a condition or whatever you call it, a policy or something. So I'll show you that in a second. Columns. So yeah, ID created at, we can leave that for now. Yeah, that's pretty much all we need for now. Okay, and we're gonna need to add a policy. So add row level policy and create policy, and I'll show you what the policy is. Let me just check. Okay, so we are keeping it as permissive. You can just put the policy name as whatever, and you could do insert. You technically could do all. I'll just do all for this, but like if you want to limit it, you could just do insert or actually update to. So I'm just going to do all, and I believe it's just true here. Let me just save this. Okay, so I think that should be it. So I added a row level policy. If you just saw, I literally just put true at the bottom, and then I think I maybe did one other thing. But let's just test that out real quick. I'm going to duplicate this and run a test real quick. Just because I want to make sure everything works before we move on here. Okay, so I'm just going to put this to Instagram. Query name, match documents, that's fine. We're just going to add this right here. And we don't need to update it. And now I'm just going to test this. And I'm triggering it on my other screen right here with Airtable. So if this works, it should. Okay, so it didn't work. Content. Oh, okay, it's because we need to add the content. Okay, so this is where the next part comes in. Okay, so it worked though, because I didn't get an issue with the what do you call it? The policy, permissions. There we go. Yeah, I didn't get an issue with permissions, so that means we're allowed to do it. It's just that it doesn't have the necessary fields. So to get the necessary fields, I'm just going to go new query. So I'm going to SQL editor and new query, and I have these copy and pasted. So this is going to be very easy for you guys, and I'll literally put this in the description down below, so you don't have to come up with your own queries. So I'm just going to alter the table of Instagram, and we're going to add the column of embedding. Okay, so they're actually, I'll tell you what I'm doing here, but we're gonna have to do one more thing before I do this. So add column embedding, and the type is going to be vector, and this number right here is going to depend on your what embedding model you're using, but for OpenAI it's 1536. Okay, and then add column, and you just look at what dimensions the model outputs on. So OpenAI is 1536. Different models are different though. And then add column metadata. This is going to be JSONB, and then add column content, and this is going to be text. All right. So we're just going to copy that, paste that in here, and we're going to run that. Okay. Success. So if I go to the table, go to Instagram, you'll see here we have, okay, so don't actually run it yet. Don't run it yet because I need to tell you to do something first. But for me, you'll see we have those two fields we had before. We have our vector embedding field. So you see how it's a vector type. And we have a JSON metadata field, JSONB, and a text field for content. Okay, now one thing I'll say too is if you, unless I'm missing something, because yes, you can insert columns here, but from what oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so you can literally, okay, you don't even, okay, so I'll tell you what the issue I had before was. So I was having a big issue earlier. It was very, I was getting running into a lot of issues. Reason being is if we go over to databases and then you go over to extensions, one thing you need to do before any of this is you need to enable the PG vector extension. It's called vector right here. Okay, so if you scroll all the way down, or if you go Control F, and you can search for vector and you'll be able to find it. Now you need to enable it. Now, once you click enable, it's going to like ask you where you want it to enable it to, what schema. Now the default schema it shows, you can see here, schema, it will show extensions. All right, it will just show there. So I didn't know any better at the start, and I just clicked OK. Then I built out the whole table with this under the schema of extensions, and then I was running into all these issues. And then I kind of thought it may have been that, so I tried to disable it so I could re-enable it and maybe change the schema. And I even tried changing the schema in the SQL editor. I was running into some issues, but long story short, I just had to like delete the functions and all these other stuff, and then disable vector, and then re-enable it, and then put it onto public. So long story short, just so you don't mess up and run into issues, once you enable the extension, put it into public. Also, once you enable it into public, if you go to like functions, you'll see it adds all these different functions: array to vector, cosine, distance. All these things are from PG vector, and it's freaking awesome. It's awesome. This is like really cool stuff here, guys. Yeah, like I hope you guys are getting some value from this. I hope I'm explaining it in a way where you're following along and it's somewhat making sense, even if you're a bit new. And yeah, if you guys, I mean, hopefully you're seeing the true value once you get something like this set up and you can actually use it. And there's many use cases, whether you're using it for your own personal knowledge base, your companies, building different customer service bots, AI bots, you name it. This is the type of stuff we do for our business as well as our clients as well. So anyways, I mean, you're going to get much better output. Okay, so what I was saying now is, yeah, I will still leave this SQL query down below, so you could run the SQL. But actually, I just found out if you install PG vector correctly, you can actually just go here and you will see the vector type under other data types. So you could just go like this and add embeddings just by typing it without doing any queries, SQL queries or anything like that. You literally just click save and you'd be good to go. When I didn't have the vector extension enabled correctly, I couldn't see this under type. It wasn't letting me do this through the interface. I could only do it through running SQL queries. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, you can do it through either like the user interface if you really just don't want to run queries. But like I said, I'll leave it these queries in the description down below anyways, and you can just run these regardless. Now the one thing is, let me see. I don't know if I go to vector here, define. I don't know where you put the number, but yeah, maybe if you I don't know if it gives you a spot to put the number since I haven't done this. Let's just see. Test, save. Okay, well, if you're running into issues doing it, since I haven't tried it through the manual way, then use the commands down below. But it looks like now with the extension set up properly, you possibly can do it just through the interface. Okay, so let's just cover where we are at now. So we have our table, we have the basic stuff, we have the embedding, we have the metadata, we have the content, we have PG vector enabled on our Supabase, we have the correct RLS policy set up just to allow us to update and add documents in, and we have this flow set up. So now that I have all that set up, let me just test it into our new table, and I'm just going to trigger on my right screen here. If everything goes well, it should add the document in. So look, let's just zoom in here. We had the trigger, boom, boom, boom. We got 5 items here. Everything ran correctly. Basically, it chunked it into 5. So let's just see here. If I go to Supabase, which is right here. Okay, look at that. Look at that. We got all this stuff. We got the embeddings. We got the metadata. Okay. And we have this is the original content. As you can see, it's chunked into 5 different vectors with the corresponding embeddings for this text. Okay. And yeah, so now that we have that, that's great. Okay. We're also going to need, and let me just, we're also going to need another, there's a few different ways you can do this. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to keep it very simple and show you what the mechanics of this are. And then like, if you wanted to, you could do this in a separate workflow, and you can like put tools and like make it run from the workflow, or you can just change this trigger to something else. Like there's a lot of different options, but basically just to keep things simple, what we're going to do is right here, we're just adding another trigger for testing purposes. I wouldn't use this in an actual production workflow, but this is just click to test workflow. And essentially we're just using a Q&A chain, so question and answer retrieval under AI nodes. Okay, once you do that, I mean, the trigger could be anything, right? But yeah, we're just using, like, you could use a chat. I'm using this, and then just because I'm using this for testing purposes, I'm defining the prompt. You could take it from previous node depending on what your previous node is. Okay, then we're using the same model. Well, we're using actually different model. We're using, because that's an embedding model, this is a generation model. We're using OpenAI's ChatGPT 4o. And then for the retriever, we're using a vector. Okay, so let me just show you from scratch how this would look. So here, so like this, and then retriever. You have different options: contextual compression retriever, vector store retriever, multi-query retriever, workflow retriever. So if you were running it through a different workflow, you put the ID here. But we're gonna do a vector store retriever. We're gonna keep the limit as 4, and then we're gonna add our vector store of Supabase. Okay, and you obviously need to connect your Supabase account. Like that goes without saying. And yeah, so we're retrieving documents, so you can select your table. We're doing Instagram here, and then our embeddings is the same embedding, which is OpenAI embeddings, and we're using this one right here, text embeddings 3 small. Okay, I'm just going to go like this, delete this, and I'm just going to duplicate this. Copy paste. Where'd that go? Paste. Okay, where is that going? Okay, we're just gonna add another trigger. Click. Manual trigger node. Let's just go like this for simple sake. There we go. And then model is OpenAI GPT 4o. Okay. Sorry, this looks a bit messy, guys. I'm just rebuilding it just so you guys can see here. Once I'm done this, I'm going to delete these other things here. But so click Q&A chain, OpenAI model, GPT-4o, vector store retriever, Supabase store. Okay, so we got that, right? So we have, this is all built out. What we're going to need though is we're going to need to add a function into our Supabase, okay? So there's different ways you can do this too. Like I'm just going to show you the basics. Supabase also has edge functions. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but basically we're just going to go to database functions. So this is where I was showing you that there's those vectors and PG vector functions. Once you add that extension to your public schema, make sure it's your public schema once again. Okay, this is the one that we're going to add. Match documents. So edit function. Let me just show you. This is what I use to create the function. And let me just see if I can do this within here. Table vector. Okay, from my knowledge, I don't know if specifically if you can do it just within, I personally didn't do it within the user interface, like here, create function. I use the SQL query. Reason being is because I couldn't find the type for you'll see here, this is a table for the return type, and I could not see table. I just see different things here. So for the sake of this video, and if you're following along, we'll be using the SQL query, and I'll leave this in the description down below as well. And let me just change this to Instagram. Okay, I'm gonna copy this, and we are going to go here, SQL query. I'm gonna go new query. I'm gonna paste this in. And I'm actually going to change this to, let me just see here. I'm going to pick a different name. Let's just see, go up. So whatever your query name is here, we're actually going to change this to, actually, match documents IG. I'm going to change that to that. Okay. And then I am going to go back here, match documents IG. So this is whatever your query name is. Match documents IG, match documents IG, match documents IG. Okay, so let's run this. So it should have worked. Let's just double check. Database functions match documents IG. So right here. Now I'm just going to re-add some new stuff in here under that, and then we're going to test everything out. So delete this, go here, and I'm going to test workflow. I'm triggering it over on my right screen with Airtable. So it should send the document over here. Okay, we got those embeddings. Now let me just check. Okay, embeddings are here. Now let me come over here, and the question that we're asking is, let's define this. So, let me zoom in a bit. Give me her page or what can, I believe this video is on what can chat GPT make animations, explain in depth, please. Okay, that's just going to be our query because I see that that's what the video was about. And let me just see. So go ahead and test. So that worked. Let's play this. Okay, it looked like it worked. We got no issues. It's loading. Executing node. Everything goes well here. We should get an output and it should basically have information. Okay. ChatGPT itself cannot directly recreate animations because it's text-based language model. Okay. So basically this is direct information from the video, right? So this is pretty cool. I'm not going to read this whole thing, and like I would specifically tell it like, hey, I don't want you to format it like this way, and I would obviously do a lot better prompt. I'm just showing you the basics of setting up a RAG. So what we did, just to recap, we set our triggers up, we put the document into our vector base, we set our vector base up correctly with the right policies to ensure that we have the right permissions. We set up, we added PG vector as an extension the right way to our public schema. Okay. We, what else did we do? We added these columns. All right. Make sure that this number right here is what your embedding model outputs for the dimensions. Okay. And then we ran this SQL query for the, to set up a function that is, and yeah, you can, and yeah, make sure, oh yeah, also to make sure the function number right here is the output of your dimensions as well for the embeddings, the number. And yeah, there's different ways you can also like query similarity and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that too much in this video. This is just one, like this is, I'm going to give you this copy and paste down below in the description so you can start using this. And if you just like if you're new to this and you just copy and paste everything I do, like with the model, with the embedding model, with Supabase, etc., it will work. All right. And yeah, if you need to watch this back and whatever and customize it a bit for your specific embedding model, for your specific use case, it should be good as well. You're just gonna have to change those specific things I mentioned. All right, rewatch this video. But yeah, I pretty much just gave you everything you really need to know to set up a simple RAG system within n8n. You don't need to learn how to code. You don't need to use the command line VS Code and do all this. You can just do this within n8n, a no code drag and drop builder. And this is like some technically more advanced stuff, like, or not even really, this is like not super advanced, but it's just like a bit, it's way more advanced than the average person using AI or doing this. So if you're doing stuff like this, you're already ahead of the curve if you're able to set this up and actually leverage it in a good way, in a really good way. So yeah, guys, this is definitely, yeah, I definitely think this is a very value-packed video, and this is something extremely valuable. So if you actually got value from it, and yeah, if you actually genuinely got value from this, then I would definitely appreciate, you know, subscribing. If you're new to this channel, we upload videos every single day on AI, automation, n8n, make.com, business growth, marketing, you name it. I run a company, Executive Stride. I'm the founder, and we help business owners grow and accelerate their stride. If you want more information about that, you can check out some of the links in the description. If you're new to this channel and you haven't joined our free Stride community, stridecommunity.com, link for that will be in the description down below. We have about 750 to 800 members in our free Discord and free Facebook group, so definitely check that out. Also too, guys, if you haven't already checked out my book, Client Acquisition Code, this book is awesome. Super value packed. I show you how to get clients on autopilot leveraging AI. So if you're in B2B, if you're a SaaS owner, if you're a founder of literally anything B2B, if you need more appointments on your calendar, definitely check out that book. It's literally like one of the cheapest solutions to get your desired result. It's super, super value packed. So if you're like, you're on a budget, definitely check out that book. I poured my heart, blood, sweat, and tears, and more importantly, my heart, my soul into that book. It took me so long to write. And then other than that, guys, if you want help growing your business, you can check out executivestride.com/apply. We help our clients in many different ways, set up systems, automations. We help them set up infrastructure, AI cold callers, AI appointment setters. We help our clients book appointments on autopilot, leveraging this, run paid ads, run paid traffic, scale to 10, 20, 50, 100K a month, whatever, depending on where you're at. So that sounds like something that you want some help with if you already run a business and you just need some if you just need pour some gas on that fire and really just blow up like a rocket ship, then yeah, this is your call. Just book a call down below and you'll speak to myself and my team and see if we can if it's a good fit or not. Other than that, guys, yeah, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Hope you got this. If you hope you got some value out of this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Keep hustling, keep grinding, and of course, guys, accelerate your stride. Take care.